What is going on? Welcome to the Level Up podcast brought to you by True Fin Coaching. We are at episode 3, and we are super excited today, guys. Of course, just want to introduce the team. As always, we got Coach Justin, we got Coach Jesse, and myself, Coach Iman. And we do have a very, very special guest with us today. You guys might know her as Pink Tax CPA. Don't forget the CPA. Miss Angela is here with us today. We're going to talk about taxes. We're going to be going through a lot of hearing about her awesome story. So we got a jam pack today. So and as always, we are speaking from our point of view from the financial industry. So please always do your own research before making any decisions and speak with a financial professional for any investment advice. So we're going to get into it. Welcome, Angela. Thanks so much for giving us your time and joining the podcast today.
Yes, thanks so much for having me. I'm really excited to do this with you guys. And I love that your mission and what you've been doing with your podcast. And I hope this is the start of a beautiful relationship.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. We're super excited. Just to give the viewers and the listeners here today kind of how we got connected actually was through Instagram. We just kind of been following you for a little while on Instagram. Again, Pink Tax CPA. If you're not following, definitely go and shoot her up. But we loved your content. We love the material, the knowledge that you've been sharing with your community. We've been learning a lot from you as well. And we just kind of, hey, we'd love to have you on our podcast. We felt like it would be a good match. We kind of have a similar mission about sharing the knowledge with our communities. And so that was way back in January, if I recall correctly. But it is now. Where are we now? April, getting into March soon. Where are we? I don't even know. End of April, but this is awesome.
January to February or January to April is always a blur. For those in the tax world. So it feels like just yesterday we started talking about this.
Absolutely.
I was just about to say, this is busy.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, we're lucky to have her here with us today. I know there's extensions. Sorry, go ahead.
That's okay. Sorry, because of the lag. I was just going to say that sometimes it's kind of a good thing that I feel like we're doing this right after the deadline because most people have filed their tax returns and they have all that stuff fresh in their mind, where usually if you talk about it, people have no idea what you're talking about. Now people maybe were looking at their taxes, they have questions, they're more familiar with what's going on, maybe what didn't work for them. And really, there's 2 seasons. There's tax filing season and then tax planning season. And tax planning season starts right after filing season ends. So if you weren't happy with how your tax return went or you had questions, now's really the time to apply that. So it's kind of good to talk right after the deadline.
Awesome. Appreciate that. So we got her at the perfect time. This is great. So actually, we wanted to give the floor to you, Angela. First of all, just let the people know a little bit about yourself, what you want to share, your story, kind of how you leveled up. So we'll be quiet on our side. Please feel free to share what you'd like to share.
Sure. Thank you. So I graduated in 2013 with my master's in professional accountancy. I was always pretty driven and motivated when I was in school. I was hired by the 5th biggest public accounting firm in the world a year before graduation. They lock in. And then I passed the CPA in 2014, so the year following graduation. After I had my first couple of busy seasons at the large public accounting firm, I really felt like it wasn't a fit for me. I was just kind of unhappy with all the skills I learned at school. I felt like I was applying a very small amount of them. It was kind of just a piece in the assembly line for tax returns at such a big firm. So I ended up moving to a private Fortune 500 company where I specialized in corporate income taxes. And I grew really quickly there. I was really close with the people on my team. So that's where I really kind of started loving tax and kind of understand even more what I was doing. I got really involved with multi-states. So even though I'm in Illinois, I specialize in working with all the different states. And then actually what happened is I got married. I had my first son, my first year being married. I got pregnant with my second son a couple months after having my first son. And being a mom and having that family life is something that I always wanted. So I actually ended up stepping away completely from work because I hated feeling like I was half at work and half at home with my kids. So I decided to be a full-time stay-at-home mom for a couple of years. My husband, he was actually a Chicago police officer for 8 years while we were starting our family. And if anyone's kind of aware of just what's been going on, it's been a really hard job the past couple of years being in the police and especially being in the city of Chicago. So my family and my kids kind of really motivated me, I guess, to level up and use all these skills and all this ambition that I've had since I was in school. And I went full-time, back full-time, straight into my career. I joined a mid-sized firm. I got promoted 2 times really quickly. And I've been able to let my husband step away from his job. So he was able to last year quit the Chicago Police Department. We moved out of the city. We've moved recently to the suburbs. We have over an acre of land. It's still crazy. I'm learning how to, take care of all that from our small Chicago yard. But yeah, so now I've been just managing our firm's biggest client, again, with the corporate income taxes in multi-states. And just the industry right now with CPAs is that they're really dwindling, but the need for CPAs is growing. So our fees just keep skyrocketing and skyrocketing to the point where, our clientele is really just high net worth individuals, people who, make a lot of money, have a lot of money. And so I wanted to start my Pink Tax CPA Instagram page to just try to make regular people start to become aware of what a big impact tax has on their finances and how much they can actually have control over what they're paying and their income and their deductions and credits. So, this is basic knowledge that a lot of people don't have, that everybody should have, and everyone is entitled to the same rights, the same tax laws, the same tax strategies. It's just people don't know how to use them. So that's kind of what my motivation was behind starting that page. And yeah, I'm just trying to see where everything takes me.
Wow. What an amazing story.
Amazing story.
Yeah.
Yes, and, no, first off, congratulations.
Really
thank you. I was just going to mention one thing that's pretty funny is we actually had a House Hunters episode about this whole story with us moving and my husband quitting and me supporting the family with their tax thing. We got on an episode of House Hunters and we didn't apply for it. It literally just kind of fell in our lap. And it's just so funny because we're like, man, this was like a kind of a crazy thing that now we have documented forever.
That's awesome.
And now you can tell people you've been on the Level Up podcast. No, that's truly an amazing story. We really appreciate you sharing that. If you don't mind, I have a couple of questions. I don't know if the other guys have a couple of questions about your journey. I'd love to ask you. First of all, if you don't mind, because I'm married, I have a wife, I have a 2-year-old daughter at home. My wife is in accounting as well. She works for oil and gas, but she had a very similar challenge. I mean, as a family, we had a very similar challenge where she feels like she wants to be with the baby more and like be at home. How tough was it to step away, I guess, from your work? You said you were working with Fortune 500, I think, at the time when you stepped away from your work to be able to stay at home. And how was that conversation maybe with your husband to decide to do that at the time?
Right. Well, the good and I guess bad thing with kind of being the finance person in the relationship is my husband is very supportive of, whatever I want to do, but he's kind of like, can we do it? And it kind of comes to me as, is this a smart choice? Is this the right financial, decision for us, which kind of makes things a little more stressful for me. But, I have a really tight budget for my family. I watch, all our money that comes in and all our money that comes out. I have a spreadsheet that categorizes all of my basic monthly expenses. So, that was the first step to making sure that we would be able to, live with just the one income, and like where we can cut costs, and, just making sure we could at least meet our basic needs. So that was kind of the first step with that. And, at anyone, mom or dad, who wants to step away from their career for a little bit to, be there with your kids, I feel like there's always kind of like a taboo or, fear with that. But honestly, from doing that, a couple years is a fraction of your life and your career. And, that will always be there. So I'm 100%, behind people who want to do that. And if you feel like it's going to put you behind, it really doesn't. Like, I feel like my career really took off when I went back after having my kids, because I had that motivation from them. And even just the managing a household really helped me just to, I don't know, be more professional, better at multitasking. And now that I've had my kids, I feel like it's only up from here. Like, nothing's going to hold me back going forward.
Awesome. Really great advice. Appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Great. I don't know if the other guys have any other questions. Go for it.
Thank you. Yeah, I wanted to jump in. Congratulations on all the accomplishments. Congratulations on the family and the new endeavors. That's amazing. Hopefully I can catch that episode of House Hunters if you let us know what episode that is.
Yeah.
But you're speaking our language, talking about budgeting and being on top of those things. That's amazing. Congrats on that as well. I had a question. You mentioned you being in the S corp side of things with your job, and so can you kind of just tell? We have a lot of our viewers maybe want to start a business, or what is more tax advantage for them. So can you kind of can you kind of say what is maybe the advantages of filing for like an S corp or as under an S corp compared to like an LLC?
Right. I love this question. I specialize in the C Corp. The public accounting firm is a C corporation. But I work with S Corps as well. So I think the different kind of business entities kind of at different levels of your business. So when you first start out, maybe as a side business, or even if you're full-time, but you're just starting, I think it's always a good idea to start an LLC. You don't need one to take advantage of business deductions. Like, as soon as you start pursuing profit, the IRS says that you're in business. So you can start taking deductions as soon as they're incurred. But it's smart to get an LLC because it protects you, and it doesn't fully protect you, but it offers some kind of protection towards any kind of personal liabilities that may come with lawsuits or other type of maybe debt incurred with your business. So it's just a smart thing to start an LLC when you're starting a business, even a side business. So then the next level would be the S corp. And I would suggest that to people who are net profiting over 50,000. So that's not necessarily your revenue. That's after all your income, all your expenses, your bottom line, which is your net income. When that's over $50,000, it's a good idea to switch to an S corp. And the reason is when you have an LLC, you're reporting on a Schedule C directly on your tax return, and you get an additional, on top of it being included in your income that you're taxed at, you get an additional self-employment tax on top of that, which I think is 15.2%. It's 15 something percent of tax on that income on top of the regular income tax you have. So once you're profiting over 50,000, it's good to switch to an S corp because you're saving some money on that self-employment taxes. You do have to file payroll, and you do still have to pay some Social Security and Medicare taxes, but it's less than the self-employment tax. And then the third level that some people may or may not ever want to or will get into would be being a C corp, and that's like your publicly traded businesses. That's like people who go on Shark Tank, maybe people who are looking for investors and trying to give away shares. So that's kind of when you would level up, I guess, to that level.
Thank you for that, and appreciate your answer. And a follow up, you talked about your kids, and they speak in my life. I have a 2-year-old and a 13-year-old here, so they drive me every day to do the things that I aspire to do in the vision, things like that. And so we always hear this, online, and we always see this. You can put your kids on your payroll for tax advantages. So I just wanted to kind of get that myth out of the way and see what is behind it. If how can some of our people look towards that or do that with their kids?
Oh my gosh, absolutely. If there is the biggest kind of parenting and business owner hack, it's definitely hiring your kids, which is totally legal. The IRS has its own section on hiring your spouse, hiring your kids, hiring family members. Honestly, they're cheaper than hiring outside work usually. So it's good for, even that from that standpoint. So for example, last year, my husband, he's been creating and selling NFTs. So he started this business last year, trying to get into stuff after being in the Chicago Police Department. So he uses our kids on a lot of his ads, on a lot of posts, to sell his NFT work. So we paid our kids to work as models in our business. And for me, I think that's one of the best things to have your kids do because of ads and marketing and social media being such a big part of people's businesses these days. And the cost for hiring outside models is a real cost and an expensive one. So if you can have kids that you use and to pay them instead, I think that's just like a really good place to use them. But if you have older kids, and did you see you had a 13-year-old? Wow, I would never have guessed that.
Yes.
But anything can become involved in with your business that would be like a real job. So if they're helping you with your social media posts, if they're taking pictures for you, maybe they're more like a photographer taking pictures for you. If they're helping maybe fill orders for you or drive packages, run errands, pick up supplies, anything that's an actual job in your business. So the benefit of doing that is if your kid's one of your dependents, you can pay them up to the standard deduction, which is $13,950, I think, for this year, for 2023. And they will not have to pay tax on it or file a tax return because they're your dependent and they're under the standard deduction amount. But then on your business, you can write off what you paid to your kids. So it's a good write-off for your business. But the best part about it is that now that your kids have earned income, you can put that money into a Roth IRA for them or into a college savings account for them. The biggest thing, if you could pay them $12,000 a year because they won't have to file a tax return, you could put half of that into a Roth IRA and you could put the other half of that into a college savings plan. So now you get to deduct the full $12,000. You've contributed to their retirement plan, and you also get a deduction for contributing to their college savings account. So you're getting all these tax benefits, and you're growing your kids' retirement, and you're paying for their college, and you've gotten them involved in your business, which is hopefully teaching them something about responsibility and what you do too. So it kind of brings you closer. So yeah, that would be, I think, like the ultimate parenting hack would be getting the tax deduction for hiring them, putting money into a Roth IRA for them, and then putting money into the college fund. And just a side note, you can't qualify for a Roth IRA unless you have earned income. So that's not something you can do unless that they were working.
A lot of gems there. I hope a lot of people were paying attention to that.
Oh my gosh, I know. I think people do talks just on how to execute that, I guess. So
last question for me, okay, I promise. And so, go ahead.
No, go ahead. If you're following up.
So last question is, I know as a CPA, you get probably a lot of people throwing, transactions at you and shape or form, right? So do you have any recommendations on maybe like somewhere just kind of to track or maybe software that you may prefer where customers, businesses like to send all their transactions to?
Right. So I'm the most familiar with QuickBooks. People that's pretty user friendly and really popular. I'd say that's probably the most popular accounting software that people use. You put your transactions that come in and out of your business bank account or your business credit card, and it kind of makes financial reports for you, and you can pull from different time periods and stuff. And if you're just starting out, it's not, and people hate when I say this in the tax professional world, to use Excel. But if you're someone who's just starting and you don't have a lot going on, there's nothing wrong with using Excel. It's better to have something that you're keeping track of than to not have it and it'd be tax time and you don't know what's going on. So for me, I like to kind of keep stuff in Excel unless you're doing, a lot of regular work transactions that you want to have better organization. Then I would suggest like a QuickBooks. And one of my favorite tips that's really easy to do, because you're always, ordering stuff on your phone or you have your phone with you. I put a new album every year in my phone called like 2023 business expenses. So if I ever buy something on my phone, even just like an Amazon thing, or something comes out of my bank account regularly, maybe like a utility bill, or I'm even out at the store and I have the receipt, I can easily take a picture and I just save it to that album. Because stuff gets ahead of you and you forget, and it's easy to lose track of things. So just doing that easily and really quickly, it's a really good place to kind of keep everything and not have to feel like you have to remember all the time to go back.
Great tips. Thank you.
Great tips. I do have a question. I have nieces and nephews. This is their first time getting into the workforce, and they're filing taxes for the first time. So I wanted to know if you maybe had some advice for those first-time tax filers, whether that's, just some things that they should know or think about when it comes to filing taxes.
That's a great question. So I definitely wouldn't pay any tax professional to file, really, because a lot of places are ready to overcharge you. And I feel like if you're just someone who maybe has a W-2 or a couple W-2s, you just had some first-time jobs, then that's something you can probably do on a TurboTax. I'm just going to pull up. I want to look up a W-2 real quick and see what box it is. But what I would say is, if you made under the standard deduction of $13,950, I think is what it will be for 2023, you don't have to file a tax return. But a reason that you might want to look out for is if you look in box 2 of your W-2, that's how much money you've paid to the government during the year. And if you want that money back, then I would say file a tax return. For example, my brother, he's a college student. He was an intern at my firm last summer, which was super sweet. But he made probably around, and he would let me share this information, around $4,000. So he doesn't have to file a tax return. He's dependent on my parents' return. But he did pay like $400 of tax, which you can see in box 2. So I told him to file the tax return just so he can get a refund for that money back. So that might be something that you would want to look and see, if you would want to be worth it filing a tax return.
Got it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Man, these are gems all over.
Yeah, right.
Go
So
ahead,
a couple things I can just talk, I guess, about just a couple interesting things that might be helpful. Since it was just tax filing season, I wanted to just touch briefly on tax refunds because, a lot of people look at it as tax refund season. A lot of people really look forward to that money coming in. And I don't think a lot of people realize what that money is. So I just wanted to quickly say that that's money that you've already paid to the government during the year. So whether you have a W-2, which a lot of people do, or a business, you're required to make payments on your taxes during the year. You wait until you file your tax return to pay your taxes, you're going to have a penalty and interest on there. So you're paying taxes throughout the year, either on your W-2, and if you have a business, you should be making them. And if you're paying too much, then you'll get a refund when you file your taxes. So people are all excited to get this bonus money back, but really that was money that was out of your pocket during the year that you gave to the IRS, for free, essentially. They don't give you any interest on that. Unlike on the other side, where if you file your tax return a day late or you don't pay your full taxes by the time you file, you will get an interest and penalty for just one day, even though they've been holding on to your money all year. But yeah, I think the best way of planning for the future is kind of seeing how your last tax return went. And if you're expecting, way more income or different kinds of income, then you'd have to take that into consideration. Which I want to touch on too really quickly. Just another kind of thing that people don't really realize is not all income is treated equally on your tax return. So the IRS doesn't favor rich people or famous people, but they do have certain codes that favor certain activities that they want to encourage. So, for example, W-2 income is pretty much taxed the highest as ordinary income. Investment income like stocks and dividends. Well, qualified dividends get taxed at a lower rate. Stocks and investments that you've held onto for over a year, including maybe a business you've had or been invested in, or rental property or real estate vacation home, something that you've held onto for over a year, even cryptocurrency or different stocks. Those are taxed at a significantly less rate. And that's because the IRS wants to encourage people, or the government wants to encourage people to invest in those things, to invest in the market, to invest in real estate. So where the top income rate for ordinary income, like a W-2, is 37%, the top rate that you can be taxed at investment income is 20%. So, for people who make a lot of money, that's a very significant difference. And then also business income, because they want to encourage people starting their own businesses too. They're allowed to take a lot of personal deductions on for their business return that people who maybe are incurring expenses through work. A lot of people working from home now, but they have W-2 jobs and they can't take those expenses. But if you were a business owner working for yourself, then you could.
Oh, I appreciate
More
that.
gems.
Thanks
More
so much
gems.
for sharing all that. Yeah, this thing is chock full.
Use that.
Great. So you mentioned earlier your husband doing the NFT project. That's exciting. So I'm sure do you get a lot of around questions around crypto?
I don't get that many. I'm kind of trying, because I'm personally experiencing it. I'm trying to be more knowledgeable in that field, because a lot of people are not. And I think that the trend is going that way. So anyone who can kind of start gaining knowledge on how to advise people on that, I think is like a really good opportunity for myself and my career, and just personally as well. But a lot of the higher net worth people, at least the ones I work with, they're kind of still a little unsure of the crypto and all that stuff. So I don't get as many questions. But I mean, if you guys, dabble at all, or even like, I know those apps made it a lot more easy, like Coinbase and stuff, to start trying. Bitcoin's got super popular. So if you have any questions on how those are taxed, I'd be happy to answer those for you. Do you guys use crypto at all, or NFTs?
No use case yet,
Jesse's
but
our
of course, like as
crypto guy.
So for anybody who doesn't know, NFT is a non-fungible token. Just for anybody who wants to look that up.
Oh yeah.
But digital asset is what that is. But it's definitely as an investment, and building generational wealth. It's definitely something that we have in our portfolio, and heavily researched, and like we always preference, do your own research. So I've been diving into it a lot and just looking into it, but I don't think we're to the point where we're using crypto just yet, but more as just an investment.
Right. I think it's great to kind of get it in on it now, while, because I do feel like things are going to be moving in that direction. Don't know when, but it's seeming like it's going that way.
Definitely. And it's cool
You
how
heard
your
it here
husband gives
first,
you your
folks.
kids.
You heard it
That's
here
great.
first. Well, I mean, actually, before you get into the husband, I was curious to know what are some things that you've come across in regards to taxes and cryptocurrency or NFTs. Like, is there anything that stands out right now that while you're learning
Yeah.
that you're like, oh, this is something you should keep in mind, or these are some things you should look out for? Yeah, please. We would love to hear that.
Yeah, I mean, the hard thing with it that I think why a lot of businesses kind of struggle with, taking it as payment for things is because it's so volatile. I mean, it changes every second as stocks do, but I mean, this can go in like huge swings. So it's kind of hard to value, especially like services with that, because, 1 second it's this and the next day it's completely different. So it's definitely risky. But one of the things about it that's good is that nobody really knows a lot about it yet. And you actually can take advantage of Jesse. If you have it, this can be a good one for you. But if you bought crypto, like similarly to if you buy a stock and it tanks, normally if you have a stock and it tanks and you sell it and you buy it right back, you can't do that. It's called a wash sale. It's not allowed. But with crypto, because it's new, they don't have wash sales. So, like for example, for us, my husband received a lot of crypto for his NFTs, and some of it he took out, and we were able to cash out. But a lot of it he left sitting in his account, and because of that, it's completely tanked, and he lost a lot of value there. And that's another reason why it's risky, because he's actually taxed at it at the value it was when he got it. So if you don't cash that money out, you're kind of stuck paying tax on something that you never even really got money for. But the good thing that not having the wash sales yet, because I think they will catch on, and there it will be something that's disallowed at some point. You can actually sell your crypto when it's down, buy it back right away. So it didn't change your position at all. You didn't lose anything. You just sold it and bought it back the next minute. You can take that as a loss on your tax return. So, if he made 10,000 of crypto and it went down to 2,000, and we sold it and bought it back, we can take that $8,000 loss against the 10,000 of gain, I guess, that he got to begin with. So it's kind of a trick. It's a legal trick, but it's something that you can do for now still. So if you have crypto that's down, just sell it and buy it back so you can at least get a deduction on your tax return. No harm in that. So might as well. And I know crypto's been down, so.
Jeez. Ear to the market. Yeah, no selling here. Holding for the long term, as they say, buy and hold.
Right.
And as you said, like not a lot of people know about it right now, so it's something that you want to hold. In my opinion, is hold on to, and dollar cost average if you can, your way down. While it goes down, try to get it at a better price. It's all about that price action. So, but that's good to know. I didn't know the wash rule was not in effect with crypto. That's good to know.
Yeah. So if you have it down, I mean, you still hold it. You sell it and you buy it back and hold it. So it's literally just locking in a tax deduction or a loss. So,
I gotta go do that real quick. 1 second.
Right now with recessions and the market kind of going down, is everything, like you said, with the crypto is kind of on sale. So you can, if you have other stocks you bought high, you can start averaging down, like you mentioned, or maybe you have ones that you never bought before, but now they're down, and it would be a good time, if any, to maybe do some investments if you could.
And a good example of that is your tech stocks. We were talking about now's a good time to buy. Now's a good time to buy, and you're starting to see with the new earnings that are coming out, they're starting to come back up, and now you probably wish you would have bought it at this time.
Yeah, I've heard some some finance guru guy talking. He's like, "Do you regret selling any of your stuff?" And he's like, "Yeah, all of it," because it just always keeps going up.
Exactly.
Go. Great, Angela. I don't know if you guys have any questions. Angela, if you have any other questions for us, we can take those as well. You guys got any questions?
Interest for me as financial coaches, I always like to ask this question because, you know, being where you're at today in your journey, right? And you talked about just being so on top of the financial things in the household and things like that. But just kind of going back into when you were young, but what you may still young, but what is your first money memory? Do you have like a recollection of maybe maybe a certain memory, something that may remind you of growing up, kind of how you grew up with money?
My biggest memory of money growing up was that we didn't have any. That I knew that was always a big thing for my parents. They kind of were always talking about needing more money and wanting to get more money. And I think that kind of gave me an entrepreneurial spirit, and also put me in a place where I knew I wanted to have a career that was going to give me stable income, because I just didn't want everything to be around always needing to get more money.
Love it.
Appreciate you answering that, Angela. Thanks again very much. I mean, for those tuning in, please get your notepad out, and if you didn't have it before, get it out and start taking notes. I mean, I was taking notes, to be quite honest with you. Lots of gems, lots of wisdom that you shared, and you really went out of your way to go into detail on those things. So we really appreciate that a lot. But thank you again for being here with us. For those again that don't know who Angela is, check her out on Instagram, Pink Tax CPA. You can check her out there. Has more awesome content that she shared here with us today, right there on her Instagram. You can go and hit her up. We definitely encourage it for sure, and we look forward to doing more podcasts with you or doing other types of things along with you, and building this partnership with you for sure. This is just the beginning of an awesome partnership. So we're really, really excited. Thank you so much, Angela, for your time.
Thank you all so much. You were so great, so easy to talk to. I look forward to the future as well.
Great.
Thanks, Angela.
Thanks
Appreciate
again.
it.
Thanks,
Don't
guys.
forget to check out the Level Up podcast. It's going to be on Spotify, iHeart, iTunes, everywhere that you can find it. YouTube is going to be out, so look out for Angela. She's going to be in episode 3. Check out our TikTok, our Instagram, TrueFin Coaching, our website, www.truefincoaching.com. We're all over the place, guys. So we're just at the beginning.
Killing
And
it, guys.
again, thanks so much.
Oh.
Thanks so much to our awesome guest, our first guest. And we'll look out for the next one, guys. Take care, and thanks for tuning in.